What's going on? This is Big G from RYDIN and welcome to another episode of Testing Rides. Today, I'm going to be testing out the 2018 Cadillac XT5. Welcome to the 2018 Cadillac XT5. Introduced back for the 2017 model year, this was a long overdue replacement to the Cadillac SRX. It's basically the Cadillac SRX, but it's kind of under Cadillac's new naming scheme. And this car is very important to Cadillac because this is with the SRX, that was one of their more popular models, and now with all the SUV sales, this vehicle is probably the #1 selling vehicle Cadillac is selling nowadays. So it's very important that this vehicle is good. Alright, so this is the 2018 Cadillac XT5, and this one comes standard with GM's 3.6 liter V6, making 310 horsepower and 277 foot-pounds of torque, and this thing weighs about 4,300 pounds, but despite the fairly heavy weight, it gets a decent 18 in the city and 25 out on the highway, and this car does have cylinder deactivation. So with the cylinder deactivation, I actually saw better than that. So I did a 250-mile round-trip road trip yesterday, and I got about 30 miles to the gallon average. So when you're going along in just the V6 six-cylinder mode, at like 72 miles an hour also, you're getting about, between 28 and 30 miles to the gallon. Then when you drop down to the 4 cylinders, you're getting closer in the 40 range, which is what makes it even all out. So this car gets better gas mileage than kind of what EPA says, and it's really due to that, to the drive modes, and we'll talk about those on the driving portion and when we get to the interior portion. So again, this is the 2018 Cadillac XT5. So this is the luxury premium package. So this is one step from almost the top of the line, and of course this is the all-wheel drive model. This one comes with a lot of standard equipment, but again, this is a Cadillac, so it's not cheap. So this one, as it sits, it doesn't really have any options on it. It's about $55,000, which is about average for a luxury SUV with this amount of equipment on it. All right, before we hop into the vehicle, remember this is a GM product, so it does have both start. Hit the lock button, press and hold the button. All right, let's hop in and see what it's looking like inside. Welcome to the interior of the Cadillac XT5. Hop on in and let's talk about what it's looking like in here. Welcome to the inside of the 2018 Cadillac XT5. As you hop in the Cadillac, you definitely can tell it's a $55,000 vehicle. Like, the quality is nice, everything looks good, everything you touch and feel feels nice. It just feels like a real luxury car. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on now, and we're gonna take a look around and electronics and how everything works and kind of see, what your $55,000 gets you. Now everything's to life. Everything in this vehicle, all electronics and everything look really nice, and it's just really high quality. Why rest my arm up over here? This nice quality leather on the door sills here, and this nice aluminum that stretches across the dashboard, and the door panels there. The steering wheel feels very nice. I do like the steering wheel design. It has your skip buttons there, your safety stuff, your heated steering wheel on this side, your cruise control, and then your selection for the center stack there. They have some nice little paddle shifters. I'll put like some B-roll up here of the little paddle shifters in the back, and I like them because they're not in the way at all. They're hidden behind the steering wheel, which is really nice. And I feel like, if you got to put paddle shifters in like a luxury car like this, they don't need to be huge, like Ferrari, huge paddles like that. It's nice to just have some, but have them small, have them hidden, so they're not in the way. All right, so let's talk about the instrument cluster in this vehicle here, because this is one of the things I feel like Cadillac fell a little bit short on. Like this car is one step from the Platinum, the top spec model, and you can't give me the full digital cockpit type of thing like Audi and really every other luxury brand does at this price point. Like, it looks decent, like, you know, the gauges are pretty, the The speedometer, the tachometer, the gas gauge, and the temperature gauge is all clear. And I do like the little mini customizable screen at the bottom there. Like, as you can see, I have 11,000 miles in this car. You got 155 to range. I have my range there. Got my miles per gallon in the center, and my speed on the right side, which is fine. But I just feel like they should have did a little bit more with the instrument cluster, because this actually kind of looks like what came in the end of the previous generation SRX at the end of its life cycle. And I feel like this car is modern Cadillac, not classic Cadillac, and this is the one thing that I feel like they used from classic Cadillac, but still not bad. So let's go to the infotainment system here. The infotainment system is decent, it's cute, it's not the best thing in the world. Luckily for, you know, smartphone users, there's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you don't really got to even deal with that. But it does have like your basic stuff, like your climate control and, you know, your projection. That's for your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You know, it has navigation, because this car is $55,000. It does come with a Navi. You know, traffic levels, Wall Street Journal. You could do a bunch of apps on here. It's kind of cool, but, you know, most people are just going to plug in their phone and use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto for the most part. All right, let's go down here to the climate control settings here. So the climate control settings are really nice because it has the main buttons that you need. So you have your buttons to turn on, adjust your temperature, and then turn off. So on old Q systems, all the buttons used to be haptic feedback buttons, but they look like haptic feedback buttons, but they actually have feel to it when you touch it. So you hear that? They actually have some feel to it, which is pretty nice, and it's pretty easy to use. This is all simple here. All right, let's move on down to the shifter here. I'm not a fan of Cadillac trying to use like the BMW style shifter, because, like, I mean, if you're looking at if the target audience for this car is someone that is going to be a bit confused by the way this works. I'm not saying that all people who are buying this car are older, but I just feel like that this is too complicated. So to reverse, you got to go up and then to the left. I think that's just kind of doing the most, to be honest. But it's in all Cadillac vehicles, and you know, we got to deal with it if you want to buy a Cadillac. Cup holders are nice size, and they have like a nice aluminum finish. You got your drive mode. Then down here you got your drive modes. So basically you're running it in front wheel drive most of the time, but you could change it to all-wheel drive or sport, and the little all-wheel drive button comes on when you turn the all-wheel drive on. There it goes right there. Or you could just turn it off, and that's how the car gets pretty good gas mileage. And you got your traction control button. So I mean, this is a Cadillac SUV. You don't even really need to know where that even is. So let's go back up here. A couple things about the infotainment system I wanted to talk about before is the sound system's good. It has a 14 speaker Bose sound system which bumps, and the little volume control here it works really well. Like, you know, slide it back, slide it off, mute, you know, back home. Pretty simple. And, you know, most people, like I said before, most people are just going to use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so I'm not even going to complain about the Q system. All right, so let's move over to the seats here. So the seats in this Cadillac XT5 are very nice. They're pretty decently supportive. They're pretty good quality. I mean, it is a Caddy after all. And I like the classic Cadillac symbol in the seat here. Like, they just started doing this a couple years ago, and they kind of really introduced it with the new body style Escalade. I really like it. It just brings a lot more class to this interior of the vehicle. But honestly, I think the Cadillac interior looks very good, very high quality. But I do got a couple of complaints about it. First of all, so let's start with the interior illumination. I wish you could change the color and it was a little bit more prominent in the interior. I wish it like did across the trim or something like that. I know there are GM products that have illumination like built into the trim, and I just kind of wish this Cadillac had it. And also, so let's look at this infotainment screen. So there's a lot of dead space around here, and I feel like what they should have did is they should have filled this bad boy up with screen. This is a luxury vehicle, and in a luxury vehicle, you are expected to have a big screen that looks nice in the interior. And I think that, you know, having the smaller screen here just looks a little tacky. Like, with this dead space, I think they should have filled it up, but hopefully they'll be fixing that soon. And Besides that, I don't have any more complaints about this interior. The back seat space is really good. The trunk space is really good. This is a very, very solid SUV. This is a pretty good SUV, and I feel like that, you know, if you're looking at an SUV in this size, you should go take a look at a Cadillac. Like, Cadillac has, you know, they're different now, so go take a look at them for sure. Welcome to the 2018 Cadillac XT5 driving portion. All right, let's go ahead and head out on the road and see how this baby does. To the 2018 Cadillac XT5 driving portion. And when you first hop into the Cadillac, the first thing you notice is how smooth and quiet this car is. So I'll pause for a second. There's not much road noise to be heard in this vehicle, and you know, it better be like that. This is a $55,000 Cadillac, and I can definitely kind of see the price for the 55 grand that you're getting in this vehicle. So what is this thing like to drive? So this Cadillac rides and drives really nice. It rides and drives like just like a modern vehicle should. So what does that mean? So first of all, let's start with the steering. The steering is pretty light, pretty effortless, you know, like you kind of would expect from a luxury SUV of this size. The ride is pretty comfortable. This car is rolling on the 20-inch the 20-inch wheels that come standard on the luxury premium package, and you know, it kind of makes the ride a little choppy-ish at sometimes, but for the most part, you know, it's a pretty solid ride. I know this car has a pretty soft suspension, so you know, it kind of, the 20-inch wheels doesn't really upset the ride too much. So one thing that I was a little bit surprised about is this Cadillac can go around a couple curves. It's nothing like on the level of like a, you know, like a Jaguar F-Pace or a Porsche Macan or something like that. It's nowhere near that at all. But it's a lot sportier and it handles a lot better than what you may think a Cadillac SUV will handle like. So, you know, they have, Cadillac has, you know, the ATS and the CTS, and those are kind of the sporty sedans, and this car kind of got a little sprinkle of that handling characteristics from those. So when you're going around corners in this car, there's not a whole lot of body roll, and you know, it's pretty confidence inspiring, honestly. And you know, when you get on the gas, it starts pulling. This bad boy, this thing has the direct ejected 3.6 liter V6 that all GM products has, but in this application, it makes about 310 horsepower and 271 foot-pounds of torque. And you know, with this car weighing 4,300 pounds, you'd think this car would be slow, and it's not slow at all. It's, you know, kind of reluctant to get, it's a little hesitant to get going, but once this V6 winds up, this thing is good to go. So this car drives very well. The steering's really good, the ride's really good. It's a very comfortable car to drive. It's actually, and it handles actually better than you may think. So, you know, I'm gonna talk about kind of where this Cadillac kind of sits with this competition. So this kit competes in kind of the mid-size luxury SUV category. So this car competes with cars like the Audi Q5, the Jaguar F-Pace, the Volvo XC60, the Mercedes GLC, and you know, vehicles like that size. And honestly, this vehicle is one. Honestly, I feel like, based on kind of what I've seen, this vehicle is kind of underrated in that category. Everybody think that when they're looking at buying an SUV like this, to go for one of the European models. So like, meaning that, you know, you're getting like the GLC, meaning you're gonna be looking at the GLC or the F-Pace or the Audi Q5, which I'm a big fan of those. I'm a big fan of all those vehicles, but I feel like this vehicle, if you're looking at this class of vehicle, you should take a look at the Cadillac, because the Cadillac may surprise you. It damn sure surprised me. So let's start with the pricing. So this one at its current spec is 55 grand, and you know, it comes with a lot of equipment, and honestly, I think it comes with a lot more equipment than kind of the competitor does. So, and for 55 grand, you get the full LED headlights, you get heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, you get lane keep assist, rear crash traffic alert, and you get some semi-autonomous safety braking systems. You get auto folding mirrors, you get push button start, you get with the comfort access system, you get, you know, navigation and all that stuff. And, you know, for 55 grand, that's, you know, not that bad of a deal, considering like how much stuff you get. You get nicer wheels and everything in this vehicle. And, you know, even let's talk about the base model of this vehicle. So the base model of this vehicle still comes with the big panoramic sunroof, heated seats, you know, a lot of the safety systems. And the base model of this vehicle is about $40,000. This Cadillac offers some very great value for the money, considering that, you know, it's a luxury SUV. A couple things I don't like about this vehicle is kind of the simple fact that it doesn't have any engine options. So you get the base 3.6 liter V6 as standard, and that's really the only engine option that this car has. So if you know anything about the Cadillac, so they also carry a 2-liter turbo, which that engine to be way too small for this car. I feel like this car needs the V6. But I feel like when you start getting up to the higher spec models, throw in, you know, the 3-liter twin turbo V6 as an option with the 400 horsepower, just to give some more variety when it comes to speccing up this Cadillac. And I also think that they should, I also think Cadillac should make a model that handles a little bit more sporty. It's like, I understand what Cadillac is about. Cadillac is about refinement, luxury, and quality. But where it kind of falls short with its European rivals, it's not as sporty. Like, it doesn't have an option for it to be sporty. Because, like, I'll say this: I've driven the regular Q5 off camera. I'll probably get a chance to review one sometime in the future. But the Audi Q5 does not handle sporty at all. But if you want a sportier ride, you go for the SQ5. So, you know, I feel like Cadillac should make like an XT5 V Sport, kind of like what they did with the XTS. Yes, the XTS, I've never driven one of the V Sports, but I'm sure it's a little bit more fun to drive than a standard XTS. And it also has that, you know, horsepower. So I feel like Cadillac should bring out a V Sport model of the XT5 just to give them a little bit more variety with their customers. About that though, I mean, you know, because me personally, I like this car a lot, but I just think that, you know, for this price point, I want a little bit more driving characteristics and handling. But just those two kind of small things to kind of have to do with kind of how this car is packaged and things like that, I don't have any problems with this vehicle. This Cadillac is a lot better than what, you know, what the numbers and what, you know, the sales of it suggest. Like this, I know this is one of Cadillac's more popular models because of the simple fact that everybody's buying SUVs nowadays. But I just feel like that more people should be looking at the Cadillac when they're looking at, you know, the mid-size luxury crossover. Yes, I understand that the cars like the Q5, the GLC, blah blah blah, might have that luxury build quality, but you know, the Americans are not. Like, these American cars are getting better and better every year, and they're closing the gap between their European and Japanese counterparts. So I honestly think that if you're looking at a SUV in this market, you definitely should go take a look at the Cadillac, just because it's gonna surprise you on how the car drives, how it feels, the look and feel of everything. The quality of this car is excellent. The engine is buttery smooth. The transmission is very good. It shifts pretty quick for a Cadillac. Not just for a Cadillac, but it shifts pretty quick, just pretty quick actually, for, you know, this being a comfortable luxury SUV. So I feel like if you're in the market for a mid-sized luxury crossover, definitely go take a look at the Cadillac XT5, because it will surprise you. If you like this video, hit me with the thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, keep riding with me. Thanks for watching.